So I'm gonna put the other package of graham crackers into the blender. I already put the first pack, which was like about 9. So this one has like 9 whole pieces. Put those all into the blender and get them really finely crushed into like crumbs, like a dust for the most part. And the best practice, what I've learned is before you pour it out, try to sift through and check to make sure that all the pieces have been finely crushed. And you'll see why in just a second. So I just sift through there with clean hands, of course. And lo and behold, I find about 2 pieces that are not finely crushed. So that's why I say, try to do it before you empty them out so that way you can crush it up a little bit more. But I was able to find them and it's all good. Pour the butter in, then I'm going to add the sugar. And it's best to just like mix it up a little bit to get it incorporated and then to use your hand to mix it the rest. So that way, if you find any more of the chunks, you can take them out at that time. Just want to mix it all up, get it incorporated so that the butter and sugar is finely mixed into your graham crackers because this is going to be your crust. So just want to wash my hands again. I'm just going to spray down my spring form pan with some olive oil spray. And I just want to coat it good enough so that it won't stick when I get ready to take the cheesecake out of the spring form pan. And then I'm just going to take my little brush and just smooth it out. Make sure it gets all incorporated. We don't want anything getting stuck when we remove the cheesecake. So this is going to become our graham cracker crust. And typically I take the back end of the measuring cup, like the cup size, and I'll smooth it out. But I didn't have it nearby, so I just smooth it out with my hands, and then you'll see where I go in there and use the back of a spoon. So as long as you get it all smoothed out and push it up the sides a little bit, where it's up the side like probably about an inch, and that's where you want it. If you wanted to go up a little bit higher, up more on your cheesecake, just smooth it out and get it to where it could go up a little bit higher. Whatever you like, that's what you do. See, just taking the back of the spoon to get it nice and flat and an even surface. And sometimes I moved it on the bottom of the surface. I moved the crust just to see how thick or thin it was. And that way I know I could push some more up the sides. I didn't want it to show through the bottom. You don't want any holes to peek through. It doesn't have to be perfect, because when you eat the cheesecake, it's not going to go down perfectly anyway. It's going to crumble and break apart. Nobody will know if you took time to do it perfectly. Like, it's not going to ever be shown, because you're going to pour the cheesecake batter right on top. So now I'm just putting it in the oven for about 6 minutes. You can do less. It's up to you. You just want to get it stiff, to just cook it just a little bit, because once you put the cheesecake batter in, you don't want it to move around or crumble back inside of your cheesecake. So you just want to get a little firm. That's the purpose of cooking it just a little bit, because it's going to cook the rest of the way once you get the cheesecake batter in there. So now I'm just going in with all of my Philadelphia cheesecake. Well, not cheesecake, but you know, the cream cheese. Putting those in so I can get them nice and soft and creamed up. I've already let them sit out at room temperature. Everything needs to sit at room temperature so that it can just mesh and blend really well. So you want to just let it sit out for at least a few hours before you're going to cook it. And you want to be careful not to overbeat your batter. So that's why I was doing everything in stages, because it's more critical when you put the eggs in to not overbeat, because you don't want it to put too much air into your batter and then it doesn't stand up, or it sinks, or it cracks. So just wanted to get the cream cheese blended as much as possible. Now I'm adding in the sugar, just doing a little bit at a time, just to make sure it doesn't get all clumped. And then, you know, I like to take the spatula spoon device and, you know, just try to get it more incorporated and to scoop down the sides. So you'll see me go in there with that after I add the eggs. So now I'm adding the cream, the sour cream. See, that's that little spatula spoon thingy. Just trying to make sure that it gets incorporated and whatever goes up the side of my mixer. I just want to make sure I keep it all incorporated. So that's all I'm doing. And I had my mixer set to, when I wanted to cream it, I put it at 7 or 8. But then once I put the eggs, I took it all the way down to about 2. just so that it wouldn't beat it too much. So now you're supposed to add in 1 egg at a time, but because I have them all in one bowl, it put in 2 at a time, but it's okay. It doesn't really make a difference. You just want to get it incorporated, keep, helping it along with that spatula, and then add the other eggs. And those of you who are vegan and may not want eggs or the cream cheese, I'm sure there are other recipes out there for you. Or if you are not vegan and you just do not want eggs, you can take out the eggs, but that's the binding agent. So you're going to need to add more flour or cornstarch to make your cheesecake stand up so that it doesn't just turn into mush, and when you slice it, it just has no texture and it just falls apart. So you will have to look for some recipes that does not include the eggs. I always add eggs, so I'm not able to help you there. So I got the mixer set to a lower speed because I want to get the lumps out as much as possible, and I want to keep it nice and velvety smooth, but I don't want to overbeat it either. And because I felt like I may have been overbeating it a little bit, just trying to make sure to get the lumps out, I felt like I should go back in and add a little bit of flour. So you'll see that coming up. So now I'm going to take the graham cracker crust out of the oven and just let it cool a little bit because I'm going to pour that cheesecake batter right up in there. Now I'm adding in that flour. And I'm just doing teaspoons at a time. And I did 2 at first just to see what it would look like. And to me, it still seemed like it was a little bit thinner. Didn't want to add too much flour. But I just wanted to make sure that it kind of stood up on its own. And plus, I knew that I was not going to do a water bath. So I just wanted to make sure my cheesecake didn't crack because the flour is supposed to help it not crack. And you can also use cornstarch, but I use flour. So I'm just scraping down those sides and making sure everything is incorporated. Just getting that flour mixed in there. And then my mixer has a feature where you can move it to either the side or the middle. So I had to move it to the middle so that that flour could get mixed in better and get out the lumps. So now it's time to get ready to pour in that cheesecake batter. And as you can see, there's still like little minor lumps, but you're not going to get everything totally out. But when you see it in the pan, it's going to look velvety. So no need to worry if you see a little bit of lumps. You're not going to be able to taste those once it bakes. It pretty much incorporates and becomes smooth. So you'll be good. See how smooth it looks? You know, that's the texture you're looking for. Not too runny, not too thick, just really smooth and velvety. So I'm just going to smooth it out, level it out. I thought that the pan was still going to be hot, so I was like, let me put on my oven mitts. But the pan was cool because I let it sit out for a little bit before I put the batter in. So I'm just going to throw it right on into the oven. And initially I put it on for like 60 minutes, but then I added an additional 40 minutes and it turned out perfectly. I could have done it in 20-minute intervals after the first hour, but I just went on for the whole 140 hour and 40 minutes, and it turned out perfectly. It did not burn. It cracked very minimally, but it was good. And I'm making a cream, like a sour cream topping. So I'm just going to add some sugar, sour cream. I'm using the whole pint there of the Daisy. And I'm going to add in some vanilla extract. And just mix it until it's fully incorporated. And I just let that sit to the side. I don't put that on until my cheesecake comes out the oven and it cools. I let it cool for at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I like the way that it turns out and it becomes like a glaze once you put it on there when it's still hot. I like the way that it turns out. So it's your preference. If you don't want it to melt in with your cheesecake, you can put it on there right before you serve it. It's up to you. Or you could put it on there after it cooled down a little bit more. It's just your preference. So right now I'm just going to mix everything up. I'm just mixing it manually because it's such a small quantity. No need to put it back into the mixer. I just want to make sure that you get the sugar and the vanilla extract in the sour cream incorporated. It's nothing hard about that at all. Very easy process. And this is optional. If you don't want the sour cream mixture, you don't have to put it, but it tastes pretty good because it tastes like just a cream. Once you put the sugar and the vanilla extract, it no longer tastes like sour cream. So it tastes pretty yummy. And I apologize for it not being on the full screen because I was using this like neck camera holder. So that was my first time using it. So it kind of moves around a little bit and didn't capture some parts, but Forgive me, this is my first video of making a cheesecake. So now I'm just adding on the additional 40 minutes like I told you. I'm gonna let you see what that cheesecake looks like after. See? So you just want to check it and make sure that it's done. You put a knife in there or a toothpick or something and make sure it comes out clean. Then you want to just leave it in the oven for an additional 30 minutes and crack the oven open. And once the cheesecake comes out the oven, let it cool off a little bit. I'll say for about another 30 minutes maybe. It's up to you. And then you want to put it in the refrigerator and let it set overnight. And then it's good to go. I hope you enjoy. Bye.